everybody. Hey. This is Dr. Kesslin with the PhD Consultants. I am so excited to welcome you to this edition of the Doing the Doctorate Podcast. As you know, we're in a special series called Doctor in Residence. And our doctor today, he has a story. I can't wait for him to tell you about it. But just before we get to him, I just want to remind you that we are here to inspire and inform you along your doctoral journey. We have the podcast, yes, but there are so many other resources that we have for you. There's a free resource at the website, www.drkesslin.com, but there are also many other ways to get information. If you follow, subscribe, like, share my information, there's stuff for you, all right? There's support for you. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Dr. Kesslin everywhere. Keep looking. You might even find me on TikTok, all right? I'm not dancing though, y'all. I'm not dancing. Anyway, today is going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. Have you ever thought, I have a young family. I have young children. I have a full-time job. I just don't know if I'm going to make it through this doc program. I just don't know. If you have ever had that thought, you want to tune in to today's show. We're talking with Dr. Joel Boyce. Tune in, stay tuned. You'll learn a little something. Dr. Joel Boyce. Good day, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good. And let me just say thank you for putting on your regalia. Not everybody gets into it. I'm a little
Yeah.
I feel like I worked hard for my robe and my tam. I'm going to rock it. I would rock it to church if I could. No, maybe not.
There you go.
So thank you so much for being here. I am super excited that you are here. We go back a little ways. I knew you before you were Dr. Joel Boyce. And let me just say that I am so proud. I am so proud of the work that you are doing. But for those of you who don't know Dr. Joel Boyce, let me just do a quick share about who he is and some of the things that he's accomplished. Dr. Joel Boyce is an assistant principal and founder of JCB Ed Pro. As an aside, a lot of people ask me, someone just texted me yesterday, who can I talk to about editing my dissertation? I refer people to JCB Ed Pro. I said, Dr. Boyce is the man. He's an educational consultant. He has his own company. He's a professional manuscript editor, a writing coach, curriculum development specialist, and professional development for high-performance entrepreneurs. He works in school districts. He works with educational companies. Dr. Boyce is everywhere. He's an educational professional with over 19 years in the field of education, instructional literacy, and again, assistant principal at a middle and high school. Dr. Boyce has done so much in his career with grants, and I told you he's my go-to person for any editing needs that I have. So I am extremely thankful, Dr. Boyce, to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good to have you. So I'm going to not call you Joel because it's a habit.
You call me whatever you want. That's fine.
Dr. Boyce, no, you worked hard for that doctorate, brother. Dr. Boyce, we usually start the show. I just ask people, tell me about the beginnings of your doctoral journey. Like, what influenced you to actually say, I think I'm going to get my doctorate degree? What got you to that point?
I come from a family of educators. My mom was an English teacher. It was one of her jobs, and my grandmother was an English teacher as well. So I kind of had it in my blood. When my mom passed, she was working on her doctorate, so I always wanted to do mine as well, kind of as a tribute to her. And so that was always in the back of my mind. Whenever I get a chance, whenever I could find a program that worked for me, I wanted to go back and get my doctorate.
Wow. And you got your doctorate. To me, it was a very unique field. Literacy?
No, it's in educational leadership.
Educational leadership. Educational leadership. Why ed leadership?
Well, my undergrad and my master's degree are both in English, so I'm an English teacher. So I wanted to do something that would be reflective of what I am currently doing. I wanted to be an educational leader, and also just based on when you select your degree field, that also affects whether or not you're going to be paid for your degree. So you can't pick a field that will be something that you won't be paid for. So educational leadership was one of those things where I could learn the skills I need to become an administrator, and it's also something I could be paid for when I finished it.
That is, I hope you all wrote that down. That's like a point of wisdom. You don't want to get a degree in something you can't get a job in, and you don't want to get a degree in a field that's not going to pay you what you're worth. So investing in getting a doctoral degree should be in a field that's going to pay off. That's a good word.
Yep.
That's a good word.
I have a lot of friends who majored, who got a doctorate in something that they could not get paid for, and they actually have a degree, and they're still making teacher pay. So it really is important that you really research that and you pick something that will be applicable for the field and what you're trying to do.
Wow. And we're going to talk about your entrepreneurial endeavors in a minute, because I know you're rocking the stage too. You published a book, all of that good stuff. So we're going to get to that. So you decided to do your doctorate. You wanted to honor your mom's legacy, and it's something you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. You got into organizational leadership.
And leadership.
Leadership. How did you choose your school? Where did you go to school, and how did you choose that?
I went to Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale. And I had to look in Georgia where I live, I had to look on what are the approved programs for that particular tier that I needed for certification to become an administrator. And I picked that one after I interviewed several schools. And that felt like the best fit for me. When I went to see the campus, on the physical campus, even though I was an online student, I just loved the campus, and I loved the resource and the connection I made when I went down there for my orientation. I said, this is where I need to be.
I like that you interviewed them and they interviewed you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're just happy that a school accepted us, right?
You're right.
But that doesn't mean it's a great fit for you. I talk about in this book, doing the doctorate, you want to look at fit. And there are some key factors to consider when you're choosing your doctoral program. Yeah, they interview you, but you also interview them. So you decided to go to Nova
Southeastern University
in Florida. What was that journey like for you? What were the best parts of that doctoral journey?
I think for most people, the asynchronous format for the classes was good for me at first. That was the best part. Also, that their online, their library was vast. So when I needed to find articles or whatever else, it was very easy for me to get the research that I needed to do well in my classes. That was probably the most important thing I realized, was just how easy it was to navigate their online library, because I use it for every class.
Mm-hmm. So they were online. So they had an expansive online library and other resources. Was getting financial support important for you? Did they provide financial support?
They did not. So that was one of the challenges. Just you're going to have to borrow what you need to be able to finish your degree. So that's something that I'm going to have to be. It was like a calculated risk. I knew that going into, I'm going to accrue more loan debt. So my increase in my salary, once I finish my doctorate, helped me to be able to pay off my loans. And it's just kind of a short-term investment. You're going to have to pay them off, and then you'll see it long-term once you finish paying off your loans.
Okay. So weigh the cost. Mm-hmm. Return on investment. You're dropping some knowledge for real. Thank you. So, and what were the most challenging parts of the journey?
Probably at the end of the journey, when I was trying to get through my dissertation phase. It's different when if you're a face-to-face student. Sometimes you can just go to your professor's office when you have questions and, just really be able to sit down with them to get through that process. But when you're online, you're submitting everything back and forth via email. This is before Zoom. So, you're really having to either get on a call with them, and you're at the mercy of your professor, of your dissertation chair. So that was tough, because what should have taken me probably a year took a year and a half. And that was a little bit frustrating, just that back and forth process. And I think it could have been a little bit smoother if I could go back and give them some feedback on it. That was probably the only difficult part of my journey, was the last year and a half.
which was dissertation writing.
It was just getting through the changes. So you have your chair says one thing, your committee may want something different. They're not always on the same page, and then they're sending you back and forth. And if you've never done it before, it's a level of frustration that no one can prepare you for. You would just think that everybody agrees and they're going to give you one message, but you're trying to please several people who want different things or see it different ways.
I call it doing the dance, right?
Absolutely. I
call
danced
it
a lot,
doing
learned
the
the tap
dance.
dance.
Yeah, tap dance. So you have to please everybody. You have 3-4 people giving you feedback and sometimes the feedback does not complement one another. In fact, sometimes the feedback from your committee members differs completely, and it is frustrating. And you have to find a way to advocate for yourself, remain politically correct because it is a political process, right? And figure out how to merge all of the messages in a way that makes sense and that meets everybody's needs. I always tell people, don't throw away anything. Like all the scraps that you have, put it in a scrap file and save it, because 5 days from now, they may ask you, the same person that told you to take it out, they may say, hey, I think you need a section on, and you just simply say, no problem. I got that. Right? So yeah, the dance is so frustrating. When we started the show today, I talked about we're entitling the show Resilience, right? The focus is resilience. And you were telling me that while you were in your doc program, you had a family. You had a young child, you worked full time, and you were in a doc program, and yet you still got out. And how long did it take?
It took me 5 years.
5 years. How did you do it? Give us some practical tools for how you manage to stay sane while doing a doctorate, working full time, and having my babies.
Well, I mean, I don't want to take all the credit for the baby part because, of course, his mom was definitely holding the fort down as it pertains to him as a baby. But just your focus is divided because you have work responsibilities that pay the bills. You cannot shirk on those things. So that was tough. I had to work a lot of late nights, but I'm a late night kind of guy. So working up till 12, 1, 2 in the morning, just the amount of articles you have to read and be able to process those, highlighting different things and typing up and paraphrasing, putting it all in a document where I'm going to use this later. You really learn the skills of, if you want it badly enough, then you'll stay up. If you want it badly enough, when you get home, you'll get your work done. And you're going to work on some Saturday nights. You're going to work on all Sundays. You're going to work on times that you thought you could go out and hang out with your friends. No, you're going to be trying to get this done because what's coming ahead. You know that if you don't finish this, you're going to prolong your time, and then you start looking at that. I got to pay that continuing fee, that continuing ed fee. So if you keep that in the forefront of your mind, then let me get this done now, and I can have fun later on.
That whole self-sacrifice. So you stayed up late at night. Did you have a schedule? Did you schedule time for everything that was in your life?
I tried to, but I mean, it's always hard to balance that. But my son, when everybody would go to bed is when I would start working. So, let's say everybody's in bed, by 9, 10 o'clock, that's when your night begins. But that your alarm is going off at 5, 6 in the morning, whatever the normal time is. So you got to fit your sleep in those little bit of hours that you have outside of when you're working. But once you get into a rhythm, then it becomes, second nature to you.
Just curious, when you were in undergrad, you said you knew you wanted to get a doctorate, but how committed were you to the idea of getting your degree? And did you make choices from undergrad to prepare you for your doctoral journey?
No. So when I was in undergrad, I was an English major.
Absolutely not.
I was not even sure what I was going to do with my degree, because if I did, I would have done English education. But I did straight English, and I had to go back and do education courses in grad school to make up what I didn't have. I was just happy to be there, having a good time. I did well in my classes, but I didn't have a real plan. So no, the doctorate was not even on my radar of something I wanted to do. It really wasn't even my radar in grad school. It was on my radar when I got into my field and I saw people doing what I decided to do. People were at work and they were going full time as students. That's when I realized that was an option, because to me, I thought you had to just go full time and you couldn't work. And I saw no way to do that. Being young and, just getting married, that wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't necessarily plan it, but it worked out. It worked out. So if you had to give, in hindsight, looking back, if you had to give some words of wisdom, you have been a guest of mine on one of my group coaching calls. Every Monday night, there's a group coaching call, and Dr. Boyce has been with us to give some words of wisdom. Powerful. Thank you, because they still talk about your presentation. So thank you. But if you had to give some words of wisdom to this crew, to the global community of the PhD consultants doing the Doctorate Podcast, what would those words of wisdom be? One, for those who are thinking of doing a doctorate, and two, for those who are in a doctorate. What would those words of wisdom be?
But let me go with two first. For those who are in a doctorate, don't give up. There are so many people who are in the same phase that you're in. When you get this far, being ABD is not, you don't want to be ABD. You want to finish your dissertation. It's not going to be easy. I don't care where you go to school. Everybody has a similar story of hoops they've had to jump through, hurdles they had to go over that they thought were unnecessary. But in the end, nobody remembers it. I only talk about it because Doc just asked me. But those things are so far in the back of my memory. I have to remember the challenges because so many successes have happened since I pursued my doctorate. Even be outside of just becoming an administrator and using my ed leadership, so many other of my entrepreneurial efforts have come as a result of having my doctorate. It's another level of discipline that I learned when I got my doctorate. So even when it becomes difficult, which it will be, if it hasn't already, don't give up. You always want to make sure that you see things through, that you finish what you start, and know that there are going to be so many opportunities that are going to open up for you once you complete your doctorate. So please stay the course. For those who are interested in becoming a doctoral student, it is definitely worth it. But you got to find a program that works for you. Some people cannot do online. They need a face-to-face instructor. It may not be for you. So you want to make sure that you find an accredited program that will meet your needs. You don't want to just go somewhere where they're degree shopping, where it's a mill factory, and they're just generating doctorates. You need to find somewhere where you're going to learn, because when you come out, people assume that you have a certain level of knowledge, and they're not going to understand if your name is now doctor and you don't know what you're supposed to know in your field. They expect that knowledge and your expanded just wisdom comes along with completing a doctoral program. So I really believe that if you find one that makes you comfortable, you see how it fits within the trajectory of your career path. If you're in a career path where a doctorate is not going to help you, it may not be time for you to do a doctorate. But if you find that it's something that's going to benefit you, and don't let it just be your aspiration, I always want to get a doctorate, because you're going to be hazed for the next 5 years. You're going to wonder, why did I do this? It needs to work within the trajectory of your career path. And if so, I absolutely recommend it.
Yeah, that's good. That you're going to be hazed. I actually call it academic hazing. Mm-hmm. This is academic hazing. You will have to jump through hoops that you didn't even know existed, right? Yeah. And working with the committee is just one of those hoops. Doc, can we transition?
Yes.
I want you to talk about how the doctorate has set you up for what you do now. What is it that you do? And talk as broadly about it as you can, and as you would. You wouldn't be here necessarily without a doctorate. So let's just talk about that. What is JCB Ed Pro?
So it's a consulting firm in which I do professional editing, which is, of course, when I work some freelance work with you. I also design curriculum as one of the main things that I do, professional development. And having a doctorate opens a lot of doors, because people begin to realize that I know what I'm talking about, that I have the experience, especially as an administrator. This is year 10 I've completed, which I needed my doctorate to be able to get to where I am now. But I have work-based experience that helps me to do consulting work with schools, with school districts. I lead curriculum writing teams, partnering with other districts, as well as my own independent projects. I'm working on so many different things. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember all the things that I do, but having a doctorate, people really look at you totally differently, especially those who are not necessarily in education, entrepreneurs who want to break into the educational market, and they realize that they want to find somebody who they feel is at the top of the learning curve. And so they look for individuals who have a doctorate, who have experience in the workforce, doing what it is that they want to do in terms of getting their product into schools. And so it really opens a lot of doors for me just having this degree.
Tell us about some of the stages and some of the, if you can, some of the folks that you have worked with just because you have the doctorate.
Well, so I'm working right now as a freelance writer. I work with Jeremy Anderson. I do a lot of work with him in terms of his curriculum development and working with his mastermind. I actually did a coaching session with them last month, teaching those individuals who are speakers how to be able to develop a curriculum that they want to sell to schools. And so I have that insider knowledge, and I am training them, for those especially who want to work further with me, about how to create a curriculum that meets state standards and that will help them to break into the school market. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy. It's like getting a government contract. You have to know our values. You have to know what it is that we do. And so I help navigate that language with them. I also work with another entrepreneur, Nehemiah Davis. I coach in his mastermind as well, twice a month, working with them, helping them to develop school curriculum that will meet the needs of their particular clientele they're trying to target. I also coach for a long time with Jasmine Womack and the Impact Group. That's, again, another part of just my doctorate opened up another door. So that's 3 different groups that I've coached with, or I currently coach with, just working with people who want to develop curriculum that meets state standards and can help them get partnerships with schools.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. How can folk reach you? If they say, he sounds amazing, and he is, how can they reach you?
Right. So if you're interested in working with me, whether it's on curriculum development or if you're looking for professional editing, master's theses, dissertations, or just your manuscript, you can always reach out to me at www.jcbedpro.com, or you can follow me on Instagram. You can message me there at jcbedpro. I will respond either way, and I would love to work with you on whatever your needs are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was another question that I had, and it just, tell us about your book. Tell us about your book.
So I wrote a book. I actually wrote 2 books, but the book that I'm definitely marketing right now is called Cracking the Code: The Blueprint for Entrepreneurs to Achieve High-Paying Contracts with Schools. And so I help them. I give you practical strategies in those 8 chapters of what steps you need to take to not only market to schools, but to find the right people who are the power players in schools, because sometimes you don't know, you're talking to the wrong person. That person can't get you the contract that you need. I talk about key dates and times that you need to know to get a school contract, as well as understanding how to read school improvement plans and figuring out what we value so you can target us appropriately. So you can find that book, again, my Cracking the Code book, on my website at www.jcbedpro.com. You can get it digitally, or you can get a print-based copy, but it will definitely get you started where you need to be.
Yeah, it's good. It's good too. It's really good. Doc, I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for just whenever I call you, whether it's to refer a client to you, or to come on my show, or to coach my folk in our doctorate in residence on the fourth Mondays of the month, you always show up. So I thank you. I thank you. And I thank you for the work that you do. In reality, what we do in getting this doctorate is really to make an impact in the world, right? And the things that you do as an educational administrator, as an entrepreneur, an edupreneur, you are making an impact in the world. So I thank you. And you also inspire me. There are some things that I think I'm gonna do next. So
yes, do it.
Yeah. So it's coming. It's coming. I just thank you. I thank you. Well, this is our show for today. We have had the privilege and the pleasure of learning from Dr. Joel Boyce. Please visit him at JCB Ed Pro to learn more. I'm Dr. Kesslin with the PhD Consultants, reminding you that the doctoral degree, it is not merely a degree of intelligence. It is a degree of persistence. And we are here to help you persist. Why? because your research matters. I look forward to connecting with you on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you are, I am. Talk to you later. Thanks much, everybody. Love you, Mom and Dad. Bye-bye.